All right, up next, Pioneer QX 949. These were manufactured between 73 and 76. This is a 1973 model. Serial number starts with the letter T, if I remember that correctly. Quadraphonics, it's a 60-40 watts, so 40 in quad, 60 in stereo. Big receiver, you saw the dimensions. Heavy receiver, you saw the weight, and I'll kind of talk about why that is when you're dealing with one of these quad receivers, or really any quad receiver. You'll notice they're pretty beefy. As far as the series goes, so Pioneer Quad series, early 70s. There were two kind of different models, I guess. Not in terms of specific models, but like model series. So you had the quad receivers, but you had the 4000 and the 9900, right? They don't look anything like this. This looks more like a mainstream stereo receiver, right? This fits in with the 2 series, or like, the 828s or 727s. It looks a little bit like those. It looks to me more like the 3 series, the X3X series, like the 939, 1010, 838. I think it shares more in common with those than the 2 series. But these look more like one of those stereo receivers than the other quads. Right, so all of the quad receivers they offered sometime during that time frame, and we may have had overlap, right? It's 4,000, 646, 747, 949, 9900. The 747 and the 999 have this really cool VU meter, and I'm just going to leave it running because I think it's just cool to watch. The 949 or the 9900, I don't remember the 4000. You have to refer to the image that I flash up. They just had regular meters, right? Not the little sonar looking meters. That again, I think are really cool. So what's going on with this quad receiver? So quad receiver, 4-channel sound, didn't last long. Kind of a precursor to surround sound, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, right? So audio separated into 4 channels. So direct coupled. These have a very unique sound, though, at least I've found. But the sound is pretty consistent with the 3 series. But it's even a little more mellow than that. And I think it's because there's a quad, there's like a matrix board or a quad matrix processor board that the signal passes through. Even if it's not quad, I think that mellows the sound out a little bit, and I could just be completely pulling that out of my, what. But I enjoy the sound of these receivers. I had one for probably about a year as my main receiver. In fact, it was down here in this basement. I would just sit and watch that meter, listen to music. It was awesome. And then I, just I grew weary of it and changed some things around. But man, when I had it, I really enjoyed it. It was a fantastic sounding receiver. So what's going on with these things? So number one, if you're looking to get one of these as someone who's going to use it, I can tell you these are pretty difficult to figure out how to connect things and get things dialed in. So first, looking at the back, it's good that we have RCA connections, but there are a lot of them. And depending upon what you're trying to do, what you're trying to connect, right, you can kind of get overwhelmed. It uses spring-loaded speaker connects, but without the owner's manual, you don't know what set of speakers to use, right? Because look at all the speaker terminals. Like, okay, where do I connect my 2 speakers that I want to run in 2-channel mode? Which is what I would guess a lot of people would do with this. Maybe even a majority of the people would do with it. They would just run this as a stereo receiver, right? And you'll see on the back also there's a jumper to switch between 40 quad 4-channel, 40 watts per channel, or stereo 2-channel, 60 watts per channel, right? So you don't really have to do anything up here if you just want to listen to it in 2-channel. Like right now it's in 2-channel, and I'll go over all the functions here in a minute, at least most of them. But if you flip the jumper in the back, you get a little bit more wattage, right? So that's a benefit of doing that. But if you just look to see the controls, I mean, this thing's it's crazy. So we have power, right? You have 4 different level controls for the different speakers. So if you're listening to this in 2-channel, you're listening to the front speakers, right? But you also have level adjust for the rear speakers, right? So it's right and then left. That's just the speakers, right? And then depending upon how sensitive you want the meter, I can do a -10 sensitivity, or I can do a -20 sensitivity, or I can do a -30 sensitivity. So depending upon how loud you're listening to it, right, you can get the meter to jump a little bit more, a little bit less. You have front speakers A and B, rear speakers A and B. That's 2 sets of speakers, A speakers, B speakers, not right and left. So again, you can kind of get lost in this. Loudness, this is for tape monitor, 2-channel, 4-channel 1, and 4-channel 2. So you can have 2 4-channel tape players connected to this. Dolby adapter, MPX, muting, right? Tuner dial. Then come down here to the volume control. We have CD4 separation. Let me put the meter back on so you can see it. Oh, and I think I moved it off a channel. So here we go. And this is in my basement, so this is kind of crazy that I'm even getting a signal down here at all. Yeah, I think I lost it. Well, we'll see if it pops back up. Okay, so anyway, where was I going? All right, so we have volume, left and right CD4 separation. You have front bass and treble, high-low filter, rear bass and treble, and then you have a mode where you can do 2-channel, 4-channel, 4-channel RM and SQ. I have to look those up and see what those are. I don't do any 4-channel stuff, so I don't know. It's probably maybe the equalization or something. I really don't know. Or no, I think maybe there were 2 different types of 4-channel. I think that might be what it is. Anyway, I'll flash it up at the bottom when I go to edit the video. We have AM, FM mono, auto, phono 1, phono 2, and auxiliary. And then FM muting, right there, FM muting is turned off. I was trying to get a station back, but I don't think I can get one now. Oh, well. Meters were, because I turned the volume down. Duh, that's what the problem is. Turn the volume up and you get the meter back. Without sound, I lost track of what I was doing. So just to get one of these hooked up and running for your setup is kind of a challenge, right? Just getting it connected, figuring out the speakers, figuring out what goes where, what connects to what, right? That can be pretty challenging. In terms of serviceability, advanced, not going to lie. This is an advanced receiver, and quad receivers share some of the same issues. Well, number one, you have double the parts. So not for all the parts, but when you're looking at the amplifier boards, you have 2 amplifier boards, right? Or you have 4 actually. You've got, in these you have 2 boards, but you have 4 channels for the parts, right? And depending upon how it's set up, you may have 2 boards or 4 channels for preamp, and then for phono. You know, I think phonos, I don't know. And I haven't worked on this for a while. I think phono is probably just 2. Well, no, because you can have quadraphonic records. So again, I don't know. But you have double the parts. Just assume that you're going to have double the parts in this. In terms of getting to those parts in this, it's kind of tricky. I recapped mine when I had it. Replaced a bunch of transistors and all the capacitors. Same thing with a 747. It required a decent amount of disassembly. So, you have that to look forward to. The lamps are kind of these lamps weren't too bad. I have a video. I don't know if I'm going to release a video series on this or not. My intent initially was to kind of redo the whole thing, but the owner has opted not to do that. They just wanted me to kind of clean it up and get the meter working and the lamps changed out. And I think in the video I talked about just going through and replacing all of the problematic transistors. And I'll be honest with you, I've listened to this for hours and I haven't heard one pop, right? Or any static, but it's going to likely happen. This does have a sticker on it though from someone else who services these, and I don't know, maybe they've gone in and done that. I just haven't gone in to look at it, because it wouldn't matter if they did or not at this point, because it's not mine to do that stuff to. So double components, I know that there should be bad transistors in here according to the schematic. So, getting in there and replacing all those is going to be a chore. It's going to require disassembly. It's going to require a whole bunch of parts, not for the faint of heart. Looking at some of the parts kits on eBay, these go for more than, I can get a parts kit for $9.39 cheaper than I can for this $9.49, this quad. It's quite a bit more expensive. So if you're going to get one of these and you're going to try to repair it, I mean, the way this works is there's a shutter that opens. So number one, replacing the lamps, pain in the butt, because you have to get the lamps aligned perfectly, right? And then if one of these little shutters, if that mechanism is broken or something, then the lights won't bounce. And I've never worked on one, but I've seen them with meters that weren't working. So you have to be aware of that if you're looking for one of these. Just the challenge of working on one of these. These are pretty tough to work on. As is probably any quad receiver is going to be pretty tough to work on. At least that's my assumption. So in terms of what to look for, if you're looking for one of these, make sure you get them with all of these knobs. These knobs can be hard to find. They made a lot of these, right? But these knobs can definitely be hard to track down. Same with the buttons. The 3 series buttons may work on these. I don't know. The knobs, I think these are 2 series knobs because they have the little tiny kind of flange back here. I'd have to look at the 3 series receiver to see, but I think that's more consistent with the 2 series, like a 727 or something like that, right? Where you've got the knob goes back and then there's a little, wider portion that kind of butts up against the receiver face. So this is a veneer. I mean, this is a wood veneer for the cabinet. So, naturally to find a veneer that's not all peeling. This veneer seems to be pretty robust. Like I just did a review on a 950, and the veneer on those seems to be pretty fragile. This is pretty decent on these. So, cosmetic shape. Glass, there's no etching or there's no silk screen on the glass. So, finding replacement glass, you may not be able to find one that sells them specifically for this, but I think you could probably get a piece of glass made, is my assumption. This VU meter is actually it's like one whole part that goes in there, except for where the lamp and the boards, or the lamps on the board connect in the back. So prices on these, I'll flash up the obligatory, what is someone thinking price on this. Sorry, I just got a text. Where was I at? Oh, prices on these. So the crazy price, right? We'll do that first. Now, I'm surprised at what these go for if they've been restored. I think when I looked, I found 16 949s sold between January and April, and that's quite a bit. That's more than I expected. To get one of these restored, pristine condition, recap, something like that, these will actually sell for more than $1,000, which is surprising to me. But people pay what they will pay for these things. I think it's a sexy looking receiver. Certainly nothing wrong with it. So, but $1,000, quite a bit of money. I would say, if you wanted to get one in decent shape like this one, decent shape, assuming it had been reworked, you could probably hold out and find one for around $900. In terms of one that's in good working condition, that's been serviced, and when I say serviced, it's got all the lamps, maybe some of the transistors have been replaced, it's been repaired but not recapped, not restored. I think in that $600 range is probably a decent, you could probably expect to pay that. Now for parts on these, or for a parts unit, you can probably find one for less than $300. If you are patient and you wait, you can find them for less than $300, but they may be in pretty bad shape. So, because people don't really know much about these. You can probably get one for $300 if you're willing to work on it, but you're gonna put a lot of work into it. So they're pretty difficult to work on. You know, yeah, I think that's all I got for the Pioneer QX949. Nice looking receiver. Again, I had one for a while. I really, 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 really just love the meter on it. I think that thing is awesome. And when it's in 4-channel, it'll go through all 4. I just have it in 2-channel right now. So anyway, I think that'll wrap it up for this one. So as always, if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.